Garrow.
Who's asking?
I am.
Yeah? And who are you? I ain't DeGarrow, alright? You got the wrong guy.
I don't think so.
You know what I think?
I don't care.
I think you should die!
Always the same.
Hello and welcome to How to Be a Great GM presents the Training Grounds. My name is Guy and tonight we're going to be meeting a new GM and players as the GM takes us through another exciting adventure in the hopes of scoring well on the score sheet or improving an existing score. What am I talking about? Well, each of the GMs that are participating in Training Grounds have been given a predefined scenario that they will be required to run through the players tonight. The players are randomly drawn from those who volunteered to play in the game, as well as myself. And after 90 minutes of playing in the GM's world, the players and myself will get to score the GM based on certain criterion. The criterion I'm talking about is this. This is the scorecard that the GM will be aiming to try and hit the marks on. Now, bear in mind, the GM does not want to get the highest mark because that gives them no room for improvement or for betterment. This is not a competition about who is the best GM. This is a competition about oneself and improving on one's own abilities. Now, you can see we've got various categories there. We've got the rules. How are they applied? Are they applied correctly or at least appropriately? There's story categories. What's the tone or the pacing like? There are NPCs, critical elements of the game, of course. There's style, and then, of course, table management itself. So what will happen is each of the players and myself will give the GM a score out of 5, meaning that there will be a total of 25 points that they can score per item. And at the end of it, I will present the scorecard back to the GM and to you, the viewers, and take them through some of the salient points, areas that can be worked upon and improved upon for the following week. Of course, if this is the second week that they're participating, we will have that score sheet from last week. We will have a look at it and see where they should be aiming to improve. Now, at home, of course, you are watching this. You have that wonderful ability of not being completely ensconced within the game, not trying to play the game. So think kindly when you are judging these individuals and look at the scores and see how they would apply to yourself. At least that's part of the plan. But enough from me. Let's get on with the show and let's meet tonight's GM. Hello and welcome to this evening's show. I've got a great a cappella choir with me, apparently, which I think is super cool for tonight. Hopefully you can all hear them and see us and all that kind of wonderful stuff. And we've got a good game for you tonight, I hope. Lots of people in chat already, and can't wait to get on with this game. Our DM tonight is Laura. Laura, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been DMing for?
I've been DMing for maybe 3 years, but I've only ran like 2 campaigns in a one shot. And they've always been like chill, laid back campaigns and things. So pacing has always been a major problem of mine, and things like that. So I just wanted to improve that aspect of things as well, and just see how much I've improved myself over the last few years I've been DMing.
Fantastic. Okay, so, well, that's exactly what we're going to be doing tonight. So you're going to be running your first game tonight, and the next week, hopefully, you will be improving upon your scores. Now, tonight's show has been sponsored by a particularly remarkable company called Easy Roller Dice. I only mention them because, A, they're amazing dice manufacturers. All my dice that I will be playing with tonight and have been playing with come from Easy Roller. I think Laura's got some Easy Roller dice there as well, and Steve said he thinks he's got some Easy Roller dice, so it's just Easy Roller dice everywhere. And if you want to get some Easy Roller dice, they've given us a nice little discount coupon thing, which I'm not sure if Lauren is in chat, and if she has the power. I hope she does. If not, I will share up that discount for you, so you can pick up your own copy of Easy Roller Dice if she's not there. Is she there? Hello? No, she's not. And so now I'm looking for the thing that I sent her to say, please send these out, and I'm in the wrong channel, of course. One day we'll do a proper professional production, one day, but not today. Not today. Okay, so there we go. It's in chat. If you need it, you can go and get it. Support Easy Roller Dice. They make great dice. That being said, you know the rules, you know the system. In terms of players, let's get into it. Elijah, who are you going to be playing this evening?
I will be playing Sasha this evening. The human fighter and the great criminal mastermind that I am.
I like it. I like it. Phil, who are you going to be playing?
I will be playing Benson, the gnome rogue, the ne'er-do-well leader of the band, so to speak.
Fantastic. And Michael?
Yes, I will be playing the role of the Dragonborn wizard, Bracklog Nagalasha.
And you practiced that name quite a lot.
I did. I had to learn it. I had to learn how to roll it with an accent as well. All within the span of however long it took for you to explain how this whole thing is working.
About 5 minutes, I'd say. 5 minutes.
Steve, who are you going to be playing?
I am playing Ishka Bloodslayer, the Tiefling Barbarian, and a noble bastard.
There you go. And that's absolutely true. It is in the backstory. And I will be playing Tajo the Cleric. And I'll be reprising a particular voice that I did a long time ago for Michael. Oh, one of our very first live games, actually. Anyway, so there you are. Now, some of you have been asking about the actual scorecard. Let me refresh your memories. That's the scorecard, as well as how the scorecard works. So, as of this morning, I have made a little document that you can... I printed this out. I made the document which explains everything about the scorecard in glorious color or PDF if you so desire. And you can get that as a download, as well as a form-fillable scorecard for use in your own games. If you want to run your own version of Training Grounds with your own players, you can get all of that from our website at www.greatgamemaster.com. Look in one of the folders, it's there somewhere, and yes, I have forgotten where. So go and have a fun time looking for that. Without any more nonsense from me, I have to say that, Laura, it is officially... over to you. You have 90 minutes, and when you are at, let's say, 75 minutes, I'll give you a little prompt saying 15 minutes remaining. All right, and take it away.
Okay. You all stand in a small back street, taking a breather after hopefully losing your pursuers. The buildings on either side of you are a jumble of styles and sizes, all pressed up against each other as if fighting for room. The street itself is narrow, crates and boxes stack in piles at various intervals, marking those buildings. It may be shops or warehouses. Several piles of trash give off unpleasant aromas in the warm evening air, competing with scattered puddles of dubious content. The only sounds to be heard are the occasional dog bark or cat yowl, and the laboured breathing of 6 young dwarves sitting in a huddle against a wall. The very dwarves you've been hired to escort to a safe house and protect till morning, when they will be taken off your hands by the dwarven overground and, with any luck, be smuggled from the country. Then you get paid. This job is good money. You're sure you haven't heard the sounds of pursuers for a while now, when the young dwarves really needed a quick rest. As you stop for a moment to catch your breath, can I get everyone to make me a perception check, please?
Holy hell.
Benson rolls a 7.
Bracklaw gets an 11.
Ishka rolled a natural 1. Very unpleasant scents are distracting her.
Sasha got a 13.
I hear the hearts of the mice in the rafters of the buildings beat. They are nervous. Something is hunting them, I perceive.
I got 24.
Okay. So as you're all standing there in various states of taking a breather or looking around, you're all lost in your own thoughts, and Maddie's looking over at the poor dwarves that are staring. But Tajo, you noticed just at the last second a shadow moving as you look up onto the rooftops that ducks quickly behind a chimney breast. And I'd like everybody to roll initiative.
We're not alone. Prepare yourselves.
Bloody hell.
Vincent pulls his rapier and stops smelling his fingers, and he's ready to go.
Bracklaw, unfortunately for Bracklaw, his great girth, despite his rather frail constitution, means he's only just managed to sit down to rest by the sides of the dwarves he's escorting. And as soon as he does, his old back kind of wait, no, I'm ready for battle. Don't you worry. And I get a 4 as I very slowly spring into action.
Oh yes, I rolled a dirty 20, by the way.
Okay.
Well,
Ishka,
go ahead.
unhappy with the scent and the disruption, just angrily pulls out the battle axe, getting ready to rock, and it's an 18 for me.
Well, Sasha, noticing the shadow that's been pointed out to her, realizes she can't reach it with her mighty and amazing great sword. So I will take out my javelin and prepare for combat with the 12.
So everybody,
Would this be an appropriate time to say, like, Sasha, Iska, guard the dwarves, make sure they're okay? Seems like there may be some type of battle happening here.
I'll watch their backs.
While Benson just tries to look around and figure out what's going on. He just has his sword, but he doesn't know where anything is.
The dwarves instantly look scared, and they intakes of breath as they huddle further against the wall, trying to huddle down behind some crates, just looking to you guys to protect them. As suddenly you guys hear a low growl coming from the alleyway behind you as a shape slinks out of the shadows. And as you guys turn to look at the sound, it suddenly seems to vanish, and then it reappears again next to Sasha as it lunges forward to take a bite, and you realize it's what looks like a large dog.
Perhaps I will get to use my great sword. Oh, friend.
That's unfortunately a 22 to hit.
Oh, that does hit, unfortunately.
So suddenly you're stood there waiting for combat, which you thought was going to be on the roof, and the next thing you know, there's just a dog in front of you that lunges out and latches onto your leg, only dealing 4 points of damage. But yes, you now have a dog in front of you. Benson, it is your turn.
All right. Benson, seeing this, does a kind of a front roll with his rapier and tries to stab the dog creature thingy, assuming with sneak attack.
You would have, advantage because you have somebody within. That's how rogues work.
I gotta roll my attack. Ooh, natural 20 so 24 total, and my damage 6. Oh, total damage 9. Excuse me. So he does his front roll under the dog and stabs up into the guts of this thing, and he's holding on to his rapier as it's stuck into the creature.
You would expect maybe the dog to yelp or whatever, and although it flinches, it doesn't make a sound as it turns its eyes upon you now as well. Ishka, it is your turn.
All right, so Ishka's looking at Benson's nice stabbery and just kind of like, I hate dogs. Runs up, pulls out the battle axe, rages first, and then slams down to try to protect her new buddy, and does not succeed. Oh wait, no, Nope, that would be a 10.
Yes, unfortunately. Now the alley was quite small and there's crates and boxes and there's a lot of people in here now. There's already 2 engaged on the dog and you try to get into swing, but there's just not quite enough room as your axe kind of glances off the wall. And we move on to Sasha. Oh, sorry. Is there anything else you'd like to do on your turn?
Oh, that's it. I just snarl.
I will drop my javelin on the ground and say, finally, I've been waiting for a chance to use this. And in one smooth motion, take out my great sword and attack the dog that is biting my leg currently. That is a 16 to hit.
It does indeed. Your
Okay.
sword bites in.
6. That's 14 points of damage.
Ooh. Okay, it definitely feels that. Again, it doesn't seem to make any sound, but you've cleaved like into its like shoulder portion, and its leg now kind of like hangs a bit limply where it doesn't really have use for it. It's still standing, but it doesn't look very healthy. In the meantime, as most of you seem to be concentrating on... Oh, Tajo, what did you get, sorry, for your initiative?
I got 11.
Okay. Then it's your turn now, Tajo. Apologies. I realize that missed you out.
Silent dog is silent.
Tajo is deep in contemplation as to how he heard the mice, but not this strange, immortal, silent canine. He's also still worried about the shadow on the roof, so that's kind of where he's focusing. But just in case something happens, his fingers start to gently clutch his holy symbol.
If you scan up onto the roofs, if that's where you're looking, you can give me a perception check.
That dice is gone. Natural 1. He closes his eyes to focus on his god while staring intently at the chimney.
It's a lovely
Sense
chimney.
Nothing.
It's the finest example of a chimney you've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, so I feel that's what he's going to do this round. He is lost in self-contemplation and failure, and trying to understand why is this lesson being taught to him.
As you do that, and it's for some reason an arrow just inexplicably shoots from this chimney straight down towards you. It whistles through the air. It was an 18.
Oh, lessons will be learned. It hits.
Oh no.
Dealing 6 points of damage.
Deep lessons will be learned.
All right. That's, yeah.
Oh dear. Bracklaw, it's your turn. You've finally got yourself to your feet as you watch this dog come out of nowhere and your teammates hammering into it, and all of a sudden an arrow's come out of nowhere and struck Tajo.
Oh, there appears to be a lot going on right now, but do not worry, for I, Bracklaw, am ready to unleash the power of all the wizarding world. Behold! And he places his clawed hands together and begins to ignite this firebolt spell from between his hands. As he prepares to cast it, we pan out just a little bit and realize that Bracklaw is actually 12 inches tall. And you see the tiniest little as this little itty bitty firebolt launches from the world's tiniest, most accursed dragonborn. And that is an 18 to hit.
What are you firing at?
I'm firing at the mastiff chewing on Sasha.
Ah, right. What was that hit, sorry?
18 to hit.
Oh yes, it's a tiny little. It flies forward, and then just as it kind of hits, it seems to just get bigger right at the last second, and indeed, it smacks the mastiff. Roll your damage.
Haha! That is 4 damage.
As this tiny little firebolt suddenly grows and slams into the mastiff, the mastiff suddenly, the light kind of falls from its eyes, and without a sound, it just collapses to the ground with a slightly smouldering fur in its
Huzzah!
Nice
Bracklow is
shot.
my... Yes.
Tiny claws for tiny people.
These very, very tiny eyes sort of look up at you, and these little wisps of smoke.
I like to think that as the dog collapsed, it collapsed on top of Benson, who was underneath it. And so he's collapsed under this thing as it's dead, but its sword is sticking out of the top. So he's just kind of trying to work his way out with his sword. And
I'm going to use
push
my,
it off of you.
and then
I'll
takes
use my...
credit. And then takes
Bracklow will use a
credit
move
for the
action.
kill.
Bracklow will use a move action and be like, Benson, oh no!
And Benson says, "You're welcome, Sasha. Did you see what I have killed for you?"
Thank you. You're like a cat bringing prey to its master. I appreciate it.
Speaking of that, we come back to the top of the round, which now that the dog is dead, is Vincent.
Well, we're still in initiative, yes?
Yeah, something
And
so
did
casual.
Did I see where the arrow came from?
You were
or any of that?
engaged
Probably,
with the dog at the time, yes. So
Yeah. Tajo.
if you can choose to do a perception check if you wish to
Yes.
look.
Yes, sir.
Because Tajo did point out where he saw the shadow.
7. I don't. So Benson notices that Tajo has a bolt in him, but has no clue where it came from. So is asking, Tajo, what is this? You have a bolt in you? Where does this come from?
Evil has directed it into me for my impiety. That is where it has come from. And behind the chimney on the roof.
Can I?
What
there
did you
anything
say you
to-
rolled on your perception check? 7.
7.
Yeah. So you see this strange protrusion sticking out from the side of the chimney, where they obviously thought they ducked back behind it after shooting, but obviously didn't. And you can definitely see now, a bit of a side of an arm and stuff like that sticking out from behind the chimney.
All right. Can I take a shot at it with my short bow?
Mm-hmm.
I'll shoot at that arm. D&D. I'm getting another natural 20 plus 4.
Ooh.
I swear I am using the online tool. I don't know if I can say the name and all that stuff, but I don't even have dice.
The internet
And
smiles
Jesus
on you
has
today.
been kind
Yeah.
to you today.
Who is
Remember
his?
to leave a little offering out for him before you go to bed tonight.
Well, let's see. Who's it? His god is Joaquin.
Roll your damage then.
And we'll roll damage.
It would just be normal damage, because you'll not have sneak attack on this one. But still double dice, so.
1d6, so that's... I can't. Looks like a 4 plus 2 is 6 points of damage.
Okay. This, or at least what the arm is attached to, does make a yelping sound as your arrow strikes true into the arm. And a very distinctly, humanoid sounding yelp. Is there anything else you'd like to do? Is a move action or?
Maybe just try to move to get a better look at wherever this is coming, keeping my arrows trained on that spot, but maybe kind of moving around towards the dwarves that we're supposed to be protecting, but still keeping an eye on that. And going, everybody, it's right there. It's right there.
Excellent. The dwarves are just kind of staring in horror at the the dog that's lying on the ground, just not even sure what's going on. But they look kind of grateful as they see you come to seemingly protect them. And
He's like, shh, shh, shh. We got this. We got this.
Ishka, it's now your turn.
So Ishka's just kind of looking at where Benson is pointing. It's like, okay, I really don't like people who shoot my friends. Let's go, buddy. And I just kind of like run around to try to get a better vantage point to throw one of my javelins up at the person.
What's the range on your javelin?
Oh, it's only 30 feet, but it's I can do disadvantage for 120.
Yeah, okay, that would work.
So
rooftops higher than.
So disadvantage?
Yeah.
Great. That's a natural 1. I imagine I'm just like trying to look really cool, but my robe gets caught underneath my foot and I just like trip, and I just kind of like the javelin just kind of goes in through a window. I'm just like, I meant to do that. You all saw that. That was on purpose. Gives us distraction.
How noble of you, Ishka.
I'm sorry, fair lady. We'll pay for the window.
No, we will not, but he may.
I'm still trained.
It's now your turn, Sasha.
Sasha is going to look up, look at the dwarves, and just gonna. You guys might want to take some cover. I'm gonna attempt to grab like the biggest box that I can muster and put it in front of the dwarves to give them some cover as my action. And then as my bonus action, I will take a second wind.
Okay. Yeah, it's easy enough to pull some of the crates. Most of them are empty for taking away, and even the ones that are full aren't that heavy, and it's nothing for you to start building a little barricade in front of the dwarves. I seem much happier about this now.
Well, I feel about 2 points better than I did a second ago, so that's nice. But you fine lads have some protection now. And I'm just gonna look up and say, now I'm coming for you. And that'll be the end of my turn.
Right. Tajo, you are lying mortally wounded. Or not mortally, but...
Death will come for me.
Oh,
This
no.
is true, but not this day.
I remain with my eyes closed, holding this holy symbol. Utter a few words to my god of life, beseeching that mine continues for just a little bit longer. And I have to cast Cure Wounds on myself. So I will go ahead and do that. And what a natural one that is.
Hey, back-to-back natural ones on healing.
Oh yeah. What is that about easy roller dice? Yeah, so I recover a grand total of 5 hit points from that. So the wounds start to heal.
There are many questions that this day has asked of us. We shall have to find answers.
And then I shout to the figure on the rooftop, I dare you to strike me a second time, you coward.
I just... Come on, man.
Why, what are the chances of him hitting me a second time?
Don't.
I am now aware of him. There is no chance he will hit me.
I'd
Don't
say it's
tempt
about
fate.
50-50.
I do not believe in fate. I have my god's protection.
Sure you do.
Yes, bring him out of the shadows and I will strike him again.
And I'm sure you had your god's protection before as well, and you still got shot, so...
And my god has restored me.
You both
That
make
is-
good
Point
points.
to Tajo.
As you say this, as your taunt rings out across the alley, you just hear a voice from up top go, fair enough. And whoosh, another arrow comes streaming down from the rooftop towards you. What is it? Oh, there it is. Oh, with a 20.
So many
Tajo!
lessons. Okay, that's one for you.
We're gonna have a talk after this, okay?
We're equal now.
This one deals only 4 points of damage because, as you said, you were kind of away, so you moved a little to one side as it came towards you, and this one just got you in the shoulder rather than, like, you know, chest shot.
Rough.
Bracklow, you just watched Tashu be smacked for the second time.
I'll so Bracklow will move over to Tajo and say, "Fear not, fair Tajo, for the likelihood of him striking you a third time is quite low indeed. I'm certain that he is done filling your body with arrows. Your god prevails as you still live."
Yes, for should he hit me a third time, I will be full of arrows, and then I will meet my god.
Yes,
believe
which
this
could
is-
also be their plan entirely. In the meantime, however, Shaplaki, and I'm going to cast Sleep.
How does that work?
Well, the way it works is that a creature... Oh, well, sorry. I create a 20-foot sphere within 90 foot. Creatures that are within that area will fall into a magical slumber, so much as I can equal their total hit points, starting from the lowest creature and then slowly advancing. I rolled 5d8 to determine how many hit points worth of creature I can go for, with a glorious 25. If they have 25 or lower hit points, they will fall to sleep.
So everyone sees Bracklow do this, and then after a couple of seconds, you just see the shadow kind of disconnect from the chimney and slump, and then slowly slide off the back end of the roof. You just hear like the sound of body down tile.
Oh, catch him. If he hits the ground, he'll wake up.
Ah,
And then Bracklow will go, "I am mighty."
If somebody
Two for
wishes
two
to
for
try and to run forward and catch the falling body,
I will
Yeah.
attempt my mightiest dash and
Yeah.
and dive as I
If you're an
attempt to catch
athletics
them.
check.
It's-
yeah, I feel like Ishka is already sort of on the way there. Trying to
that
like
is
javelin, so
16.
Oh, and Ishka, don't forget to lift up your dress while you're running. Don't need you tripping over again.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Vincent just continues to train his elbow on this creature as it falls, just in case. He's cautious still.
So what
He's
is
just gonna.
so I'm letting Sasha attempt first, and then I'll swoop in if there seems to be some problems.
I got 16, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, 16.
With a 16, you sprint forward and just manage to put your arms out and catch what you realize is a reasonably smallish figure, but it actually feels a lot heavier than it would seem for that size. And you realize you're holding a dwarf in your arms.
Can I tell if
Snoring slightly.
if it appears to be male, female, any like? What am I looking at? Like,
It's you think maybe it's a female dwarf. It's hard to tell because they have like a cloth wrapped around their face, and they just seem to be covered in nondescript dark clothes, as if to blend into the shadows and things like that. So it's a little hard to tell.
well, I'm just gonna gently put her down, strip them of all their weapons, take their mask off, and then, like a sack of potatoes, grab her by the leg and put her over my shoulder, and walk back to the other dwarves.
Okay, how long does the sleep spell last?
All right, so the sleep spell lasts for 1 whole minute.
Okay, so I would say that as you're just stripping, they get the last of the weapons stripped off. This dwarf, they begin to stir. They have a lot of weaponry about their person, it seems.
I would
Hidden as you start to
suggest
pat
that
them
we
down.
bind this one.
That is a great idea that I should have thought of as the brains of this operation. Let's see if I have any rope.
As the creature starts to stir, that Benson, who's been trained on it the whole time, just comes up and puts his foot on its neck and just continues to train and says, "Stay still," while Sasha gets her rope out.
Yes,
Tie it up.
I do have rope, and I am going to just like all like hog tie her, like arms to legs, and like just tie her up.
And while you do, he retrieves the arrow out of her arm that he shot and puts it back in his quiver.
Nice.
She winces in pain as you do this, and like comes fully awake at that now, and like kind of looks around, sees the position she's in, and relaxes. Like she's not putting up a struggle. She realizes that, she's probably not in a good position right now. Her eyes cast over, and she sees the dog on the ground, and a moment of sadness passes over her face.
Oh.
Sorry about your pet. It's nothing personal.
Bracklaw sees that moment of calm after Benson pulls out the arrow, which Bracklaw misinterprets entirely and goes, "Oh, it seems as though mammalian biology is very different to us of the cold-blooded scale kind." And I walk over to Taja and I grab one of his arrows and I go, "Yuck!" Aha! Does that feel better?
Wow, it's so strong for so small.
Well, it's like a lance. You just have to wiggle it.
No.
Ishka walks up and is like, "I think you should try another one. I think it's really helping him out."
No.
No?
There are more. I guard my remaining arrow in me.
I would like to also add a spear to my loot.
No, wait.
Is the spear like 3 times your size?
Yeah, no, it's an arrow, but it's like now it's spear length.
I gotcha.
There are some questions that we must be asking, surely. Why was this one trying to hurt those? Why are they under threat of death? What is it that they know? Why have they hired us to take us to this place? There are so many questions that need to be asked, and there are deeper questions too. We should probably sit quietly and contemplate the next few hours.
One of the dwarves steps forward at this point as you say that. You realise all the dwarves are quite young. There's a mix of male and female amongst them. And the beards, don't look like they've had time to fully grow out. They're reasonably youngish dwarves. And they say, we haven't really got time. We can't wait. We have to get to the safe house. More will come. As I explained, they need us all to join the army. We didn't want to be in the army. Dwarven Claws is being called, and we have to get to the safe house and get out of the country.
Ishka just shrugs and is like, "All right, Sasha, you carry the dwarf. I'll ask him some questions while we go."
Okay, just walk behind me.
Yeah, just gonna like duck down.
I do want to ask
Upperhead.
you 6, why are you so special as to have a huntress put after you just for the army?
It's not so much that we're special, but it's the law, you see. When Dwarven Claws is called, every dwarf has to join the army. But, well, says, looking around as his companions as they kind of start nodding, we just think it's a bit wrong. Because, they just didn't always go to war for the right reasons, And, I just want to be a baker, if I have to be honest with you. And it's not so much that we're special, but, we brought, dishonour around our families and that by not joining the army, so our parents will probably have told the law, and now the law's after us, as it would be after anybody that tried to escape.
Why has Dwarven Claws been called? Who are the dwarves at war with?
probably the next country over again. I heard that there'd been a new gold mine discovered, and it's kind of on the border between the two, and now there's a big fight over who actually owns it, and you know,
Senseless
greed.
violence.
Well,
Aye. You know, if we'd been invaded, you know, by, I don't know, dragons or ninjas or something, I'd have happily stood up and defend my country, but for this, no.
I poke the dwarf. Are you a ninja? She awake yet?
Oh yeah, she's awake. And just
Are you an
over
ninja?
Sasha's shoulder, so she's just like kind
Clearly-
of bouncing along.
Yeah, just kind of like. I mean, clearly you're not a dragon. Are you a ninja? What's your deal?
Isn't asking if someone is a ninja the same as asking someone if they're a mime?
Look, I have my
Well, they
ways.
won't answer. That's how
I
you do
still
they all.
Can't.
no, I thought ninjas could talk. They just chose not to. Well, I guess mimes can talk too, right?
Well,
See, there you
could
go.
Benson use thieves can't, you know, some type of jargon to try to talk to this person who seems to be potentially another thief? Ask who they're working for and why they're shooting arrows at our good buddy Tajo.
They look at you as you speak to them, and you know, with a raised eyebrow. They reply. No one who speaks our language. There's no particular reason. There's a bounty on their heads. I chose to take the bounty. It's as simple as that. It's nothing personal, you see. I don't
Fair
really
enough.
wish you much harm. Well,
Fair enough.
you know.
I mean, but
Yeah,
look
trying to
how
kill
weak
you.
Tajo is. You nearly destroyed them. That's very rude of you.
Well, he dared me.
So fair enough. Let's loose an arrow in her.
No,
Violence
no,
will not
I don't think that's
solve.
necessary.
I see where you're
No?
coming from, and I was almost with you, but you know,
So
they're not
let
a
it
ninja,
go.
So
We should let it go.
No.
No. We should.
Nah.
We should let Tajo's the dishonor to Tajo go.
I
from
think
this
this
thief
is
like us?
dishonor enough for now.
I will listen to you, Sasha.
To be fair, after, well, you killed Mr. Snuffles.
Mr.
To be
Snuffles.
fair, I'd rather just go and bury him. You've got no reason to trust me. If you let me go, I'll not bother you anymore.
Have we already left the place we were fighting at?
If you guys chose to have continued walking towards the safe house, then yes. If not, then you're still standing in the alley.
Have we actually had the rest that the dwarves needed, or were we kind of interrupted before we got started on that?
And they just needed like a breather, if you know what I mean. Like,
Oh,
'cause
yeah,
they'd
yeah,
been
okay.
running
Okay,
because you'd
second.
been pursued. So during the fight,
Okay.
they had time to.
Well, if we're not too far away from it, if we've been walking, I'd like to ask if we could go back. I have a fondness for animals, and it'd be a shame to leave it here. I'd like to at least take it with us, if that's okay with you guys.
You want to go back? Have you not heard there's a bounty on our heads? And no offense, they'll want to capture us, but they'll just kill you.
That's
Are they not only looking for dwarves?
Aye.
In which case I propose that perhaps, Sasha, you return to retrieve the canine, which is questionable in its own action, because surely if she was using it to hunt down prey and it was killed in battle, that is its purpose served, but nonetheless, I suppose it makes sense to fetch the dog of the creature that shot me twice with arrows, even though it was seemingly impossible, and my god is clearly teaching me a lesson. However, I feel perhaps we should also continue to safe house, but perhaps we need to change the shape of our dwarvish friends here. If we each carry one on our back, it might look like a backpack, and then we're only traveling with 3 dwarves. Although, Bracklore, I suspect if you just rode on the head of one of them, they would take you as some kind of freakish lizard man who has a strangely wide set of hips.
Well,
Perhaps we
I don't disagree with that, Tajo. I think that might definitely pose a very interesting, if not obscure, method of concealing our dwarvish friend. But may I also add that carrying or escorting, should I say, the assailant and what is effectively a eviscerated canine that smells of burnt hair and rot, to drag them along with may attract more hunters by leaving a trail. And perhaps what we can do is we could allow this person to accompany us a short way before perhaps leaving her to her devices to bury her canine, as to perhaps mislead those who might be chasing after.
Vincent
that
says,
idea.
It's like a reasonable plan.
Vincent is less reasonable and says, I have an idea. We teach Rogue a lesson by eating the dog in front of her, and then we let her go. How about that plan?
I'm just gonna like pat Vincent on
That
the
is-
back and like take him aside. She's like, okay,
Dog is fine meal. Fine meal.
I get that you
That
dog.
is a
It's
plan.
cool. That's like that's your thing. But I think with this whole group, we'll just let it go. You know, less work for us, really. Like to have to cut up the dog, and it's way too much effort. And
Okay.
you know,
I feel like the
I
dog
think
would be
just let it
quite
go.
gamey and not much good food.
I
I'm
like a
just
little
not hungry.
barnyard. I like a little barnyard in my meat, but if you all agree, I will listen to the group. He has very
Yes.
little patience for other rogues, other than
Thank
his
you,
group.
fearless leader, for listening to the group.
Safe house is only a few streets over, but need to make a mind up what we're doing now.
And
Right.
that
So I
wasn't-
think the plan. Oh, I think the plan is to maybe go, let's say, 1.5 blocks in the company of the rogue while carrying the deceased canine, which will be fetched by Sasha solo if we've already moved away from the fight
yeah,
scene.
okay, yeah, that's it.
And then once we reach that point, giving her the dog and allowing her to separate from the group. And once she's a safe distance away, then continuing on our way towards the safe house.
Okay, that seems like a reasonable plan. So that's indeed what Sasha does. She runs back to where the dog was, and it started to smell. I mean, it hasn't been there that long, but still, it smells a little worse than it probably should. But you pick it up anyway, and the wound in its shoulder is dripping. Yeah, blood on you. It's not the cleanest of tasks, but you make it back to the others who've kind of slowed down and waited for you to catch up. And indeed, you carry out the set plan. The rogue, the dwarven rogue, seems very happy. She says, "Thank you, I appreciate it. And well, I am Raffin, and you've done me a favour which you didn't have to. Maybe sometime in the future, since you may seem to be in the same trade, I could help you out sometime."
Well, Raffin, if we see you again, perhaps a favor is in the cards.
Very least, don't shoot us. You know.
Perhaps that will be the favor.
Only if I'm being paid.
Or perhaps if anyone ever does take a bounty on us, let us know.
Yes.
That I can do.
It's just a simple A, by the way.
Thank you again. And she takes her leave and walks off. Well, yeah,
Oh,
staggers off.
Before you leave, is your dog a shadow mastiff?
No.
Damn. All right, never mind. I love shadow mastiffs. They're very cool.
Continues walking off.
Bracklor, I have a question. What was it like being so small and yet so powerful?
It is a burden. Many people, despite my size, find it difficult to look up to me, though they should. But I still somehow manage to survive and make do with what little patience I have for people who make short jokes.
In which
What's so
case,
funny?
I grab you, Brackler. I just grab you and give you a little nuggie, and then let you go.
That was
Well,
strange.
I suppose you could say you have a short fuse, Bracklor, but here, allow me to give you a place to be higher at. I can put you on my shoulder if you'd like.
Oh, well, much obliged. I don't know if you've realized, but what was otherwise 4 streets for you was several kilometers for me. So, a
Well,
good respite might be just what these old bones need. Thank you.
you're
And might I say,
welcome,
what a
old man.
luxurious shoulder it is.
You guys are walking and talking as you're going. There's not too many people around this edge of town. It's the city. It's kind of like almost a bit of a disused kind of industrial area or whatever that the city will eventually build back up again. And eventually the dwarf says, "Right there, that's the house." And it's a fairly nondescript house. Again, these streets all seem quite similar. Everything's jammed up against each other, factories and warehouses and whatnot. And you notice the first thing about it is there doesn't seem to be any windows or anything in the ground floor. So it's a brick ground floor. It stands on its own, the building, although there are 2 like reasonably close to it, but you can get around the sides. But there do seem to be windows along the top, although a couple of them appear broken and some boarded up. As you like move like into the street towards a safe house, you suddenly just hear a voice that just says, "That's far enough. Don't come any closer."
I say, interesting. I thought we were welcome here. Who are you, and what are you doing?
Who we are doesn't matter. This is our house now, and you can't have it.
It appears your safe house is now an orphanage.
Well, children, if you don't mind, I'm gonna take a step closer. We need this house. You can
give me
stay if you
a
like.
dexterity saving throw as you take another step further forward.
Okay, well, that's not good. Oh, hey, that is actually pretty good. 19, I believe.
Okay.
Yes, 19 total.
You see movement in one of the broken windows as a small arm looks to throw something out, and you sidestep as a what looks like possibly a rotten tomato with a couple of nails in it just lands on the pavement next to you. We want you! No closer! I've got more of these. Some of them are aubergines.
Just shout, "Rude! We mean you no harm." Okay, come on.
That was a pretty good ambush, though. Nice plan.
I turn to the other 6 dwarves.
Where now must we take you?
I don't know. This was it. What I meant to just stay here for a bit. There's supplies and things that we'd need for the journey forward. And there used to be an old smuggler's place, and there's tunnels underneath it that lead into the catacombs outside the city. So I'll be rest in a safe house, and then we'll go into the tunnels out the city to the cemetery outside the city walls, and our friends would come get us from there. And you would get paid. That was a deal. But, I mean, they're just kids. Surely.
Children.
Vincent, Bracklaw, perhaps this might be a job for you. Not because of your height.
Can I see how many...
Of course.
how many kids can I see through the broken windows?
Up the top through the few windows, you can see several like pale faces coming through. The windows are quite grubby as well, so you kind of just see like pale shapes of faces behind the windows. You could probably make out 6 or 7, but you'd have no idea really how many could be inside the building.
All right. I'll hop off Sasha's shoulder for the time being, and dust my dusty kneecaps as I will walk over. I'm going to use the light spell to kind of make it clear where I am as I approach. Now, children, we're not here to take what is yours. Perhaps I could speak with the smartest, probably bravest of you, whoever is leading this group of fine young delinquents.
He's going to die.
You hear some muttering from upstairs in the window. It sounds like possible arguing and whispering, and then there's a clump and a crash sound, and then a head kind of peeks out one of the windows, and it's a young girl with like hair and lopsided pigtails that she's obviously done herself. Face looks quite grubby. It's just, I'm definitely the bravest. That's me.
Excellent, charm person.
Good enough for me.
Can I try to persuade them that we're here to protect them and the dwarves?
Well, let Bracklow get off his charm person first.
Well, they need to make they need to make a wisdom save. Target number is 12.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, it's okay. You can follow this up with that. Perfect.
Okay. She looks down at you and kind of then suddenly tilts her head to one side, and you see her look back to go to it's that's a little dragon. It's cute.
I'm bloody adorable.
She seems quite taken by Bracklaw as she kind of peers out the window now. And Vincent, did you want to?
Yeah, I wanted to try to persuade them that, you know, we're here to help. We've been hired to help these dwarves, and we can help protect them. Obviously, they're in a defensive posture, so that we mean them no harm. He has kind of a tell that they may not mean them harm, but right now, actually, they don't mean them harm, and that they just want to get their people, their barons to the safe house, and they think they're supposed to get there. So they just want to he just wants to persuade them to let them in.
Okay, well, if you give me a persuasion, is that a skill? I get confused with Pathfinder sometimes. Yeah, give me a persuasion with advantage because of the charm person spell.
So the first one is a 19.
Oh yeah, that's. So as you
and another 19.
Yeah. So as you say this, you can see a little face get a little bit thoughtful, and she's so you're not going to make us leave. You just want to come in.
No, you stay. We don't want to take your place. We want to deposit. We don't want to withdraw.
Yes. Perhaps we can do you some sort of favor, maybe help you improve your defenses while we're here. Just a little something. I have an idea for this plan.
She looks down.
Sasha, are we intending to arm small children?
Are you
goes,
intending to arm small children?
Well, I mean, we could just tell them about the secret tunnel.
I
But they
think
don't seem to want
Sasha
to-
has had the same thought I have had. We are going to shave some dwarves, yes?
Oh. That is quite brilliant. I like that.
And the head withdraws, and again you hear a little bit of arguing or whatever, and then a few seconds later, as you guys are conversing, there's like a clunk and some grunting, and then another clunk, and then some more grunting, and then a crash, and then the door kind of just creaks open slightly, as another little face peeks out and looks at you. Well, we could do with somebody strong, actually. But if you try anything funny, we're not totally unarmed.
Do I look funny?
No, actually.
Don't
I'm
answer
quite
that.
scared.
Anyway.
Right, well, tally-ho, everyone.
Pat the kid on the back. You know, sharing is caring. It can be fun.
I suppose. Yeah, and they'll lead you into a room that might have been like perhaps like once a workshop of some sort, and maybe there was like a house above and the windows, and perhaps that's the reason why there's no windows down on the ground floor. There just seems to be a lot of like broken furniture and things down here. And then bits of furniture have been like pulled together to try and make makeshift beds or benches and things, and there's like a bit of a fire pit that they've tried to set up. You can tell that they've probably been here a couple of days or whatever and tried to make the best of what they've found. And she just says, so how long do you want to stay? You just...
Not
Why
long.
are you here?
Well, I've got nowhere else to go.
Where are your parents?
I don't know, and I'm quite glad I don't know. Thank you.
Tragic. I just kneel down to whichever child I'm speaking to currently, and I say, I too don't know who my parents are. If you want, I could maybe teach you something that no one else could teach you.
Oh, I know who my parents are. I just don't know where they are now. But they weren't very nice when they were here anyway. But you could teach me something if you want. I like to learn.
Sure. I'm gonna take out my thieves tools. I'm just gonna say, do you know what these are?
Opening locks, I think.
Yes. And if I was you, I would learn to use them.
Oh.
Opening locks can get you things that you couldn't get before. Maybe some weapons. Not necessarily that I would be arming you, of course. I don't think Brackler would like that very much. But if you needed to be armed, these are a good way to get them. And I'm just gonna place my thieves' tools in this child's hands and say, you should keep these for now. Maybe I'll teach you how to use them another time.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, you come upstairs if you want. We found loads of stuff in here. There was like food and ropes and things, and you hear the dwarves going, "Hey, that was ours. That's our property." The kid's like, "Well, it's ours now."
Well, for now, we'll share. It'll be yours soon. I promise.
I wait for a moment to then try and get my 4 travelling companions away from the 6 dwarves and the kids. Is that possible?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. If you request that, she'll take the dwarves upstairs and show you just if you just come up here when you're ready.
Yes.
We have a challenge. We must protect these dwarves, and supposedly they are to take supplies from here down the passage into the graveyard, yes? But the supplies are keeping these children healthy, I suppose. So if we take the supplies for the dwarves, we must take them from the children. Do you see the moral problem with this?
I see a problem and I see a solution.
What is the solution?
Well, it's the solution that I've always had. Vincent, you're good with locks, better than I am. Why don't we liberate some food from some nearby homes if we could? Not much from each house, just a little from different places, enough.
They call me the the rogue. We could go buy groceries for the kids.
This is also true.
You
That
do
would be a
realize
lot
it's
more
actually
civilized.
quite like it's nearly the middle of the night.
Oh, is it? Okay, excuse me. Let's steal some groceries for the kids.
Stealing, buying. What's the difference? You know?
Yeah, I'll leave some silver. Ha.
Well, it appears as though both Sasha and Benson are well and truly in hand with regards to trying to keep these young children well fed and looked after. Tajo, you also bring another good point about trying to protect these dwarves, at least even for the time being. Ishka is, of course, quite mighty, and I'm sure that if we proposed it, a lookout as strong and as mighty as she would suffice for the night. But when it comes to traveling, I believe, Tajo, you made mention of perhaps subterfuge of a disguising sort, and the children providing a ample idea. Maybe in exchange for said food, we can have the children accompany us a small modicum of the way, and perhaps we could shave our dwarven friends for for a little, and perhaps have them guise among the children while we transport ourselves through the tunnels and into the wilds.
Yes. Hopefully that won't be putting children in danger, but I do think that is a reasonable plan.
It'll be entertaining at the least.
Yes. I hear dwarves have a thing about their beards. It's something. I don't remember. I'm not a dwarf. I don't bother.
Well, you can take it from me. I have never seen the fuss about hair. Either grow it all over you or none at all, as far as I'm concerned.
I can hold anyone down that refuses.
That is always an option. I could help you if you need it, but I don't think you'll need it.
Then it is settled. You two, he says, looking at Sasha and Benson, you are to liberate food whilst the three of us provide protection for the dwarves?
I think that's good. Taja or Backlor, I wanted to also attempt to maybe improve these kids' their trap. I wanted to help them a little bit. It seems as though children throwing things is not as dangerous as them dropping things. And I wanted to advise them of that. If you could tell them that dropping things is better than throwing them.
Yes, I'm pretty sure we can pass on that message. Do you mean dropping heavy things?
Heavy things, sharp things,
Right.
anything that is droppable.
Yes, not tomatoes filled with nails.
No, not that at all. No, it was not effective.
Perhaps we should advise the children to travel with our dwarvish companions. They are attempting to escape a war that appears to be coming. It might make sense for them to depart with these dwarves.
Right?
Through the tunnels.
However they might journey.
And perhaps we could make ourselves, rather than hustling dwarves out of the city, we could be escorting children to safety.
Exactly. I like this plan.
Good. In which case,
Excellent.
then, I think, Ixka, you should be the one who tells the dwarves to shave.
Yep. Good luck.
Good plan. Yes. Good luck.
Can I have a dagger? It might make it go a little easier. The
Vincent will
battle
help.
axe is a little hard to maneuver for shaving.
Well,
Vincent
so
has
Vincent-
2 blades for shaving.
Vincent
A
and
shaving
Sasha,
blade.
you decide to go out and have a little scout around some of the nearby houses, see if any are lived in, or so you can try and rustle up some food, whilst Bracklow, Ishka, and Tajo go up to talk to the children and the dwarves, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
That's
Sasha and Vincent, you guys step out of the house and move out through the night. If you could give me perception checks to see if you can spot houses that appear like they might be lived in, as not every building in this section of the city seems to be in use.
Well, I have gotten a dirty 20, so hopefully that is enough. And Vincent, it does not look like you have gotten the same result.
So as Vincent's coming out of the safe house, he kind of stumbled over himself and like falls down the stairs with his natural 1. He doesn't see anything.
At the bottom of the stairs, I just look at you and I stand over you and I just, what? Never mind. I'm just gonna step over you.
Gets up quickly. He gets up quickly, dusts himself off, and he's like, I just meant to do that. It's nothing big deal.
Yes.
Practicing his tumbling.
Yeah.
Practicing tumbling.
I've noticed you've been getting better with your acrobatics lately. That was impressive, to say the least.
He blushes. He blushes a little bit.
You move out though. Sasha is scanning the buildings and things like that, and you notice a couple that like the steps seem a little cleaner, like on leading up to some of the houses. You can see ones that haven't been touched in a while. There's dirt and leaves and various things that have blown over them, but some of them look like they've been tracked into recently. And then a couple maybe is what you see like a flickering candle up in some of the windows. So you direct them to a few of these houses as you try to sneak in to do your thing. So if you give me stealth checks, as you're doing that, we'll swap back. And the dwarf, do what with my beard? You want me to do what? No, I don't. We're going through the tunnels. I don't understand why you have to. You're not taking my beard.
I use thaumaturgy to turn my eyes like a bright red, and it's like, it's gonna be the best for everybody. Just sit down. I think you're gonna look a lot better. I mean, all the ladies are gonna be all over you once we get to the other side. Trust me, it's gonna be fantastic. I'm a pro. I'm a pro.
So are you trying to intimidate with the red eyes, or are you trying to?
Mostly just, it's kind of a combination of intimidate and persuade, but I think more like persuasive, just like my abilities in general. Like I'm very talented
check.
and I'm confident in my abilities to do this. All right, that is where are we? 17.
Why do we need to take the beards off if we're going through the tunnels? Who's gonna see that?
We don't want any mysterious shadowy eyes on your beards. It's better if you and the kids, you're the same height, right? You'll just be a little chunkier than the other kids, but clean shaven, you'll look 30 years younger. Come on.
I'm not shaving the beard. I'll have to find a different way.
What about that guy's
taking
beard?
the children. Are you sure that's? I mean, not that I mind.
I mean, you've seen this place. A war's coming. It's who can really live here for very long? It's awful taste. I mean, no offense, but they're better off coming along with us anyway.
Aye, that bit I don't mind so much. It's the beard thing. It's yeah. You can see like a few of the others in the background as well. They stood there and just shaking their heads like.
The dragon's not gonna like this. I'm just saying.
Aye, but the dragon's only small. How scary can he be?
Small but mighty. It's kind of like I like back out the doorway, and I'm imagining like Brackler's just like kind of chilling on the side. He's like, "Hey, they're not into the beard thing."
I see. Give me a moment. I walk in. And I'll say, "Now listen here, you giant trumped-up dirt munchers. You've discarded your dwarven honor the moment you decided to not join the army. So unless you want to be murdered by being dragged out in the street, you will shut the hell up, you will shave off your beards, because they will grow back. Otherwise, I'm going to incinerate each and every one of you from where you stand."
Give me an intimidation roll.
And I have advantage.
This is what I'm talking about. The dragon wouldn't like this. I'm trying to be Mr. Nice
They
Guy.
can, 'cause there's
Natural
someone-
20!
Yes.
As you like mention the thing about honor and that as well, you see a couple of them, sort of like hang their heads a little bit, like and a little bit shame, and the others start to look a bit angry, at the insults and that. But as you continue to shout, you can see them just start to wilt back a little bit under the tirade, and eventually they kind of just all hang their heads and go, "Right, okay, yeah, you have a point."
I hold up the dagger and say, "All right, who's first?"
Hey, at least you don't need lubricant now, because their teals will do just fine.
That's true. I was lucky this worked too, because my next plan was to put beards on all the kids.
Okay. Sasha and Vincent, what were your stealth check rolls?
So it seems me and Vincent have had opposite abilities. I have a 5 in my stealth.
All right. Benson rolled a 12. So I hopefully that's good enough. But my thought on this would be to actually check around like the rear of some of these more finer homes to look for a larder, since I would think more of the meat would be stored outside rather than inside, and that's gonna decrease our chances of being detected, and more calories per pound type of thing with the meat than going inside.
And I actually didn't even want to like approach the houses myself. So I kind of wanted to like stand in the street just looking around and like making sure that nobody caught Benson, and if they did, I could scare them off or fight them off if it came to that, rather than like actually approaching someone's house and like going in and trying to sneak around in there.
Yes, one of the houses you do approach seems to have like a shed or something like attached to the back end of the house that you think might be used to store things in and stuff like that. And if you give me, you try the door, and it does appear to be locked. So you can either try and break it down or give me a disable the device. Is it text? These tools?
I think I thought I had thieves tools. I'm not seeing it here. Could I use thieves tools to try to pick it, or?
I would imagine a rogue should have these tools, don't they?
Yeah.
You get them regardless. I think on D&D Beyond it might just be like not in like a roll thing. Maybe.
I'm just gonna roll the D20.
Is it like a sleight of hand? I still really need to.
Oh, we can do sleight of hand.
Stop confusing my Pathfinder and D&D skills.
Yeah. Right. So sleight of hand 11.
Okay, it's not a technical lock or anything like that. That's just protecting like foodstuffs or whatever. So you manage to get the lock open, but the door does creak quite a bit as you open it, and you pause for a while and listen. And very faintly, you hear the sounds of what sounds like a saw going off upstairs, obviously snoring. This person, fortunately for you, seems to be a very heavy sleeper in this house. And you manage to get in.
Okay, Benson lets out the breath and starts sniffing around for fresh meat.
Sasha, you see Vincent manage to successfully get into one of the rooms that he's going. Are you just going to stand and keep watch?
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep watch, make sure nobody tries to approach. If they approach me, that's fine, just not Vincent.
Yeah. No, that's fine. So you can give me a quick perception check. And yeah, so you go in and you have a little look through around the larder, and sure enough, you manage to find some like meats and other like dried goods and things, and some like dried vegetables and fruits and nuts and stuff brought out here as well. And you manage to get whatever you can carry, basically on your way out. And you manage to do this, you guys. Like, what did you get in your perception check?
17.
Okay, you think you notice like a patrol, like a couple of guards walking down as it passes, the street. Your street you're on goes that way, and you see a couple of guards walk like past the street. They don't notice you. They're in beat, just walking the beat kind of thing. But it obviously does make you aware that there are patrols of guards around here. But you guys have quite a successful little food hunting mission and start heading back to the safe house. In the meantime, back in the house, there is already 2 very pink-cheeked dwarves and a growing pile of hair on the floor, as whoever has decided to do the shaving is setting to.
Sorry about that, Nick. You'll be fine.
Slide the pad check to see how well you managed to shave a dwarf.
It'd be great. What could go wrong? Yeah.
I'm not sure
Definitely done this
dwarves
before.
are supposed to bleed as much when you shave them.
Hey, what you doing? Come on, get somebody else to. Ow!
Well, you
Is that blood?
keep
Did you
yelling
just
at
cut
stop
me?
moving. Stop moving so much. Let me work.
I'd rather somebody else do it.
Let me try. I have a very stable hand.
You know what? Right, look, maybe he's one of the kids that'd be better at it. And he turns around and snatches a knife off and turns to one of the children, and he's just like, how about one of yous? Surely somebody's got to be better.
I think this blade is cursed. I shall have to pray to my gods.
I like to imagine me and Vincent walk back to a bunch of kids shaving a bunch of dwarves.
So one of the children does actually step forward and take the knife, and they say, "Well, my dad, he was a barber. He died of the plague. Actually, like my parents. Let me try."
Oh, he just drops that kind of heavy bombs. Like, oh, my dad was a barber. He died of the plague.
Not the plague.
And
while the
very
dwarves-
skillfully and masterfully, this child takes his knife, rolled a 21. This child starts to just expertly shave these dwarves quite quickly and impressively.
Look, nothing personal. Tajo and Ishka, we're leaving you here for now. We're taking the small child with us on the adventure. Thanks for everything up until this point. But don't call us, we'll call you. No.
I just like kind of hold. I hold back Brackler down just a little bit. Are you sure you don't want me to come along? I could just stay right here. Stay right here.
All right. While the dwarves are getting shaved, can I gather up the excess beard hair? And what I'd like to do is I'd like to look at some of the destroyed like furnishings and stuff, see if there's like coat racks or hat stands and things like that. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to try and fashion like kind of dummies to put in the windows of like dwarven figures, as it were. Like get some coats and kind of put them there, stuff them with some cushion for, stuffing, and then little makeshift beard and hair and stuff.
Okay, So you do indeed set about. There is various implements that you can find scattered about upstairs. It seems to be where the kids seem to have dragged some of the better furnishings that went totally smashed. And as a few of them like see what you're doing, they like move over to help you, because a lot of them think that this is great sport, making scarecrows with a tiny dragon man. Yeah, they're loving this. So so they very much jump in to help you. It'll take a while, but you guys do manage to knock up some reasonably decent looking, like from the distance, because you said the windows are broken and grimy and things. And if somebody pays too close attention, it might fool them. They'll definitely look like as big as in the window. Whether dwarves or not.
Where is this secret passage that we will be journeying down? I asked one of the dwarves.
It's supposed to be down on the ground floor somewhere. It would have been behind what would have been the counter of the shop downstairs. There didn't seem to be much of a counter anymore, but it shouldn't be too hard to find.
And you want to journey down it in the morning? You are waiting for friends first.
Well, no, we could go down any time you like, to be fair. Also, the amount of time that you guys have been here as well, if anybody would have spent enough time to take a short rest, those of you that have stayed behind. So if you have a hit dice and wish to spend it, you can. Yeah. Whether we're just going to gonna have a couple hours sleep or whatever, get the gear together and just head off whenever you guys were ready. You hear a sound downstairs of Sasha and Vincent returning.
I'll go down and meet them. You are successful?
Yes, quite, I'd say.
And
Excellent.
Vincent picks up a big ham and throws it down. Meat.
Please get the meat off the floor.
Picks the meat back up.
It seems we are blessed by our gods, yes? I suggest we gather all of the supplies we will take with us, and I will consecrate it in the name of the Great One, to make sure that we are not taking anything untoward with us. The child mentioned plague, and that has unsettled me greatly.
Plague, I have heard of such things. It's a shame. Anyway.
Yeah, so you guys get back upstairs, and the child is nearly pretty much finished with the dwarves, so they're all just standing there looking rather sheepish, and you can see them every now and again just reaching up to, touch their faces if it's really
It seems you guys had good lubricant. I wonder what it was. Well,
Blood mostly.
I'm going to approach the child that I had given the lockpicks to before, and I just say, well, have you made any progress with this while I've been gone?
No.
That's fine. It's hard to know where to start without
I know it's hard
any
to
instruction.
concentrate at the dwarf shading.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, you're the leader here, right?
Yes.
Well, how do you think everyone would feel about leaving this place and going on to greener pastures?
Leaving the house.
A house is nice, but a house in a place where war isn't happening would be better.
Is that a war?
Approaching.
Oh.
I just want to make sure you guys are safe.
I've heard wars are scary.
They are scary. That's why you should avoid them.
Yeah. And you say you can get us out of here? Somewhere
Yes.
better?
Yes, presumably better. I have yet to be there myself, but I've heard great stories about how it's a wonderful place with lush grass and many trees to be climbed. It'll be fun.
You give me a bluff check.
I'm actually good at that, though, so...
You have 10 minutes left.
It's an 18 total.
Okay. So the child's like eyes getting wider as you talk. He's like, really? Wow, that's the most graph I've seen was the brown stuff that sometimes grows in the city park. Uh, I've heard there's greener ones up in the posh end of town, but we never got there. Um, Store. Okay, well, we'll come with you. Yes, sewer.
That'll be good. And I'll show you how you can use those lockpicks on the way. Perhaps they'll help you in the future.
Yeah, perhaps they will, and I'll do my best to make sure the rest of them don't cause you any trouble.
Okay, thank you for being
Okay.
such a intelligent and wise leader.
Of course. That's preening a little bit under as she scuttles off to gather the rest of the children around and explain like what's going on. You see some of them nodding, some of them shaking, and they're kind of in a little huddle as she tries to explain what's going on. The dwarves are finished being shaved. The lass who said her name was Nazi, she's convincing the children, and things begin to get pulled together. Does anybody know, somebody had mentioned about the trapdoor? Does anybody go look for it?
I will go and try and find where the trapdoor is so that we can
I'll help you
make
out.
our departure.
Excuse me.
Perhaps
Vincent
you
can
should
also
go down the
investigate.
trapdoor first, Ishka.
I think that's a good idea. You have a history of getting sharp things in your chest, so
Yes.
I will start to investigate down the trapdoor area.
As you get downstairs, and it doesn't really take you long to find the trapdoor. Once you kind of get a sense of where the counter would have been in the shop, you find it and pull aside some of the bits of rubble and that have gone on it and lift it up. and as you lift it, like a damp, not quite rotten, but like old smell kind of comes up. This door's obviously not been opened for a while. And yeah, so there's that damp, like earthy kind of older smell that comes from it.
Do you think this is safe for us to travel down? Perhaps we should just attempt to escape at dawn using the children as a disguise.
I mean, what could be so dangerous about an underground passage that people haven't really traveled through for very long?
Collapsing.
I think it's fine. I think it's totally fine.
Drowning.
Drowning?
Crocodiles, giant goldfish. It's a sewer. There are all sorts of things. Turtles. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, really.
Make a good point.
Not to mention plague and yellow mold.
Oof.
And what is
Yellow
it?
mold.
What's in it for us? Is there anything in it for us to take these children through this passage?
Well, not much other than just fulfillment, I suppose. I would hate to see these children left behind with no one to help them.
Benson,
Yeah.
these young children represent people that will one day grow into people that you can rob. So the better off you help by helping these children grow up into people who can earn great deals of money, they will then become great people with great deals of money, which will then be your money.
So as you say this, he's having a daydream into the future where he's just kind of prancing through groups of, adults picking their pockets as he goes, just lovely music in his head. And he comes kind of back to it and is like, we should save them all. We should save them all.
I agree.
I'll then turn to Sasha and I'll just sort of pat her on the leg and just be like,
I'm gonna pick Bracklor up. I'm gonna be like, thank you so much. Put him on my shoulder.
So the rest of the dwarves and the children from upstairs, they start to troop downstairs to see if you guys have like managed to find a trapdoor and that. And all the children seem to have little like packs or things on their backs, either scraps of bags or cloth that they've folded up or whatever. But they're all carrying something, like as much as they kind of can, sort of thing. And the dwarves have picked up the gear that that had been left here, which is mostly just like lanterns and ropes and pitons and things like that they would need for like traveling through the tunnels, as it were. They hadn't expected the tunnels to be dangerous, so there's not like much weaponry here, but you guys were the weapons for them, really. The hard part had been getting through the city to the safe house in the first place.
Yeah. I'd like to do just a quick check to make sure that all the equipment's been gotten, and if there's any food left over, we can like carry that with us if possible.
They all seem to have done a pretty good job. You know, there's the 6 dwarves, and there was about 12 kids in the end, it turned out. So, yeah, they've managed to get everything.
In which case, then, perhaps, Ishka, if you go in the front, then I will follow to keep you alive and make sure that the gods are happy. And then...
Into that?
And then I'll go after you, Tasha. Make sure the people in the back don't get too hurt.
Vincent can take the rear with his dark vision and watch our 6.
You see at the back out of as the dwarves go down, they light up some lanterns that they've got, and they kind of pass them down the queue. So every, like, say, 3rd or 4th person, well, every 5th person probably has a lantern or whatever. So you guys just make like a little train as you go through the tunnels. You can probably walk about 2 abreast, kind of thing. And you get down here, and you realize that, okay, these are tunnels, and there's several branches as well. As you get down, the kids turn to the dwarves and like, so which way? And the dwarves are like, right, you know, I never thought about this bit.
Seriously? Okay, well,
I mean,
how many tunnels do we get?
There's 3, a choice of 3. One slopes down, one continues straight, and one looks like it's slopes up a little bit, maybe, and then just ends as if it's going around the corner. Kind of.
Perhaps, Taja, me and you could take a quick look to see if we can see any footsteps or anything of any pathways that have been traveled recently or ever.
It's a good idea. I'll take the center.
I agree.
Just quickly before they head out, these tunnels, they were smuggling tunnels.
Yeah.
That was what was described. Now, one thing that Bracklaw is going to look for just before they leave is, in the event of smuggling tunnels, usually there's like a code, as it were, because normally they're built like kind of labyrinthian styles, like with just corridors and passages, so they can't be chased and followed. I'm going to see if there's any concealed markers or anything on the walls that might indicate a direction as to where to go.
Okay, well, give me a, what do we see here? Investigation if you're like inspecting the walls closely.
Vincent, perhaps you should assist him with this, as you have a history with such writings and markings.
Indeed.
Bracklaw gets a 15 on it.
Yeah, after you search around the walls for a little bit and things like that, you do notice a couple of like little scratches that seem to be on one of the corridors. At first you just think they're just like random scratches of something scraping by, but you notice they're kind of like almost uniform, as if they'd been scraped in here on purpose. You don't recognize what they say, but yeah.
Brinson, what do you make of these? Anything in your thievish cant that might explain as to what this might mean to a smuggler?
I rolled a 14.
Was that on a perception?
Excuse me, I rolled persuasion. That's the wrong thing.
No,
I'm sorry.
As Bracklaw points out the markings to you, you have a look at them, and you could give me a history check.
Okay. 16.
Okay, yeah, you're not familiar with exactly what the markings mean, but yeah, you do remember that smugglers did used to do this kind of thing. You heard tales and stuff like that. At times, that the scratches and the markings do indeed generally tend to signal that this is the safe way to go.
Okay, so I'll tell them, these markings seem to indicate this is the passage we want. Head this way. Head this way.
Okay, that's good enough for me. I'd
Good.
still like to check to see if there's any tracks on the ground, just in case. But I am
Yeah, you can
more
do
than
that.
willing.
You can give me either a perception or survival check.
Okay, I believe that's the same. But
You have 1 minute
6.
left to wrap up.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
6, yeah. Nothing. The ground, nothing's been through here for a very, very long time at all in the slightest. You can't really see anything at all. You barely saw the scratchings on the wall, to be fair. But yeah, you follow the markings and keeping an eye out now that Bracklaw and Binson know what they're looking for. They manage to spot these little scratches and markings as they make their way through the tunnels, with the children and the dwarves trumping along behind. And it takes you like an hour of walking through. The tunnels twist and turn and stuff like that, but eventually you guys feel a breeze upon your faces as the tunnel starts to slope up a little bit, and you kind of come out in it's a bit of a hole that's just been covered over with overgrowth and brambles and things like that you claw your way through and out of, and come up in the cemetery just outside the city. And just like not so distant away, you can see a couple of sheltered lanterns and some carts. And the dwarf turns to you and he says, "Right, they're here. That's our ticket home right there. Thank you very much." Yeah. Oh, here. And he pulls out a pouch of jangling coin sounds and dumps it into whoever's hand is there to take it. Probably Benson, where he's like, "Woof, fine."
Everyone except for Benson holds out their hands and they give it to Benson.
You did a grand job, and thank you very much. You did what we paid you to do.
You're welcome. And thank you for taking care of the kids. And I swiftly
Thanks.
walk away.
Stood there looking around like, and that's where we'll pan out at 6 shaman dwarves looking around at 12 expectant dwarven children, just like, "Oh, you're gonna take care of us now." As you guys walk away with a sense of accomplishment, that you did something good and your coin purses a little heavier.
Yes.
There you go. Thank you very much for that. Okay, right. Okay, so we are going to get voting now on how we felt that Laura went. So players, please start casting your votes there. And whilst we are putting that all together, I'm going to play a short video for you explaining some of the sections that we will be voting on this evening. And when we come back, I have time for questions. So if you do have a question for the GM or for any of the players, please put the word question in bold in front of your question and then just drop it into chat. But here we go, a rules explanation. In the style category of the Training Ground Scorecard, we see our first section is descriptions and diction. This does not mean that you have to go and buy a thesaurus so that you can sit there and talk about the muddied road, the sullied road, the dirty road, the road encrusted with muck. You don't have to use every single word available to us in whatever language you're running your game. But you knew you do, or you knew you should do, you do what you should do, or what you knew you should do. I'm confused. That is what you want to avoid. Your descriptions should be clear and allow for the player characters to see and hear and experience what's around them, but at the same time they should be clear in terms of understanding. You don't want your players going, "Is it a dirty road covered in muck, or is it a mucky road covered in dirt?" Don't try and be too complicated. Explain, describe, give your descriptions, in a clear and precise manner rather than trying to paint a picture with 1,000 words. It's easier and clearer and better for all if we get what you're talking about in a few sentences rather than in a million words. So are your descriptions clear and appropriate for the situation? The style category is one of the areas that we could argue on for days. Each of us has our own style and will do things in our own way. When it comes to the engagement section on the scorecard, we have to be aware that when we're talking about engagement, it's about how do we communicate with our fellow players? How do we talk to them? Are we calm and collected? Are we aggressive? Are we dismissive? We need to make sure that when we are engaging our table, we're engaging them as peers and as fellow players and fellow enthusiasts of our hobby. We're not demeaning, deriding, or destroying those sitting around the table trying to have fun with us. So engagement is about making sure that the players are treated equally, treated fairly and with respect, but also the player characters are treated with the same kind of respect in terms of that's your player character. You have ownership there. You have rights there. How are my NPCs going to interact with you? It should be the same as the NPCs interacting with the other PCs, unless there are some kind of world environments or world societal pressures that cause them to act differently. But you should then also make sure that that's very clear. The player is playing an orc. The orc is the one who is having speciest slurs cast upon them by the, let's say, the dwarves. It is not the DM casting aspersions on the player. A very easy section in the style category is the senses section on the Training Ground scorecard. Why do I say this? Well, because there are 5 of them and you can use them to your heart's content and tick them off in your head as you work through them. Do you as a GM, does the GM in tonight's show, do they make sure that they are utilizing those 5 senses? I am not advocating, by the way, that those 5 senses are used every time a description is given. You walk down the crunchy, underfoot, murky road that reeks of horse dung. The wind chills across your face as you can taste the fresh starling song in your ears. I don't know. I'm not saying you have to include all of them in the single description. However, if you talk about the road crunching underfoot with the freshly laid gravel and that there is an aroma of horse dung coming from that road, it paints a pretty vivid picture of the type of road the characters are walking on. You don't have to add in all of the rest. Taste, of course, is something that we don't often come across except at every tavern and market. In the air you smell fresh baked bread and the aroma of pickled fish starts to prick at your nostrils. It's as simple as adding in something like that, once here, once there, a sprinkling over there, a dash of description, and off you go. You are set, knowing that you are a great GM. Okay, so the moment we've all been waiting for, the reveal of the scores. Now, please bear in mind that these scores are hopefully here to help Laura to see where some weak spots were and where some strong spots were. And I'm summarizing on behalf of my fellow players based on the scores that they gave. So, this is just me reading those numbers. And again, just a reminder, if you have any questions, start typing them up now so that we can then throw them at the guys once we're ready. But here is the score. And if we look at those scores, just running through it very quickly, rules seem to be pretty good on average. Frequency of use, a little bit of a low score there. I suspect it, from my perspective anyway, I think some of those roles and things maybe were unnecessary or maybe they were more needed. I'm not sure. Personally, I think that they seem to be okay. Used appropriately. A lot of rolls, sleight of hand for shaving a dwarf. I don't know. Good call, bad call. it's whatever was happened. Story-wise, seems pretty good, engaging. You got a nice high score there, 19 out of 25 for your engaging story, which I think is absolutely great. Pacing, you knew pacing was a problem, and I think we saw that things kind of got a bit slowed down. And that is because the players went and did crazy things, right? Like shaving dwarves and splitting the party. But that's always going to slow you down, but it is something to bear in mind. Tone, I think perhaps a little bit of a low score there. Sometimes the tone, and I think this is just your personal style, knowing you as well. Sometimes, my dad died of the plague, but I liked him. Sending mixed messages, perhaps. So they are. Immersion, very good score there. Adaptation or twists. Again, I think time might have been a factor here more than anything else in terms of twisting up. I did like the kids taking over the warehouse. That was quite a nice one. It's like, well, should we just kill the kids? Can we actually kill the kids on a live stream? Is that something that we are actually going to do? I don't know. NPCs, your highest scoring area without a doubt. Lots of very good scores there, so I'm not going to go through that too much. There is that. I think descriptions maybe a little bit low since we didn't get anyone's name except for the kid, which we got incidentally towards the end, I think. Also a time factor. Style, we've got descriptions, engagement, and senses. Senses scoring the lowest. I know you tried to throw out some sensory things there, but maybe not as clear as they could have been for those of us playing. Controlled environment. Again, I think a bit more methodical working through your players might have given you a bit more control. Equality of time, again, I think that's just about bouncing between the groups as best you can. Time management, 18 out of 25. You seem to move the game along quite well and give everyone equal amounts of time, apparently. And then sensitivity, 11 out of 25. Perhaps something to look at, I think. Laura, what do you think on those scores?
What does the sensitivity, what does that apply to?
Sensitivity is in terms of treating subjects with a certain amount of care or sensitivity, basically. Being aware of players' likes or dislikes, how one handles certain situations and the like. But again, also, I think sensitivity is difficult considering that you didn't know any of the players before we started, and you had barely 20 minutes to get to know everyone. I do think you were quite inclusive in your descriptions and things, so I thought that was pretty good as well. Any other thoughts on your scores?
No, I think I probably agree with them. I know that pacing, because I get caught up in what my players are doing. If players want to do random nonsense, I tend to just let them. And I get that in a one-shot, really, you should try and maybe, I don't know, move things along a little bit more. But sometimes if the players are like, I want to do this thing, and that's really cool. Okay, do it. Like the ending was meant to be more of a skill challenge in the tunnels, but, we shaved dwarves instead. So, hey.
Yeah, that was a challenge.
I don't think there was anything wrong with that, by the way. I think that was great. You're absolutely right. I mean, what do? Your players want to go off and do weird and wonderful things versus running your story. I completely agree. It is a question of how do you manage your time appropriately. And I think what you did by trying to make that sort of thing go as quickly as possible worked relatively well. I don't think anyone really was too worried about it. So there we are. All right, we've got some questions from the viewers who generally seem to have a lot of fun. Mariko Sasaki says, so much fun, really enjoyed watching. And yes, lots of people saying, oh, where do I catch up so I can watch this again? And the like. So there you go. Question that's come in is from KK that asked the question, is there anything that you would have done differently, Laura?
I think possibly in terms of the whole pacing thing, I probably should have had the dwarf that fell asleep maybe just fall off the roof and die. In hindsight, I think maybe would have, I hadn't planned on the sleep and the dealing with this person. It was more of it would be a combat and you guys moved on. so that became like a scenario then. So really, I guess maybe it's to prevent that. I could have just had them fall off the roof and splat. Oh well.
It is funny. You never anticipate that players are going to suddenly want to start talking to their assassin, or going back to fetch the dog to eat it.
I did not want to eat it, just to be clear.
I wanted to eat it. I wanted to eat the dog.
I'm not sure a blink dog would be that good for you, but hey.
So...
Little cilantro, little onion.
Okay, that's a fair answer. And I'm going to get through the GM questions first, then we'll come back to the player ones. Eric van der Rock Charlotte says, is there anything that you would want more of, Laura, in that session?
Honestly, I don't think so. Yeah, I just loved all the little interactions and stuff that people had. I much prefer a session where people do that stuff. If nothing totally gets accomplished in a session, then, so what? As long as everybody's laughing and having fun and, characters are getting developed, then I don't mind. So no, I don't think I would have liked to have seen more of anything. I thought the characters were really fun to work with.
That's a good answer. Post-it Goat says, enough of what you did wrong and more of what you did right. What was your favourite part?
I think the encounters with the children, especially Sasha with the thieves' tools and the trying to teach her to defend herself and be the leader and things like that. NPCs, I feel, are normally one of my stronger suits because I like that roleplay aspect. So I really enjoyed that whole little encounter there between the kid and Sasha.
Makes sense. Makes absolute sense. Okay, I'm going to throw it now to the players. Again, KK asked this question. Elijah, what would you have done differently?
I think, I don't know if this is just me and my perception, but I feel like I kind of took up a lot of time and conversation that I probably shouldn't have for this one shot. I think that's just me because when I usually play, I'm the DM, so my brain just goes into automatic okay, NPC talk, conversation, just keep going. And I feel like that I did enjoy having the conversation with the little girl, but I just feel like I took up a bit too much time with that where other players could have been playing as well. So I think maybe just trying to step back on the amount of time I'm taking up.
As GMs, it's what we tend to do, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we like the story to move forward. Phil, question from from Eric is, what would you have wanted more of in the game today?
What would I wanted more of? Honestly, I thought it was good. I thought it was fun. We got a little combat. We got to interact between each other. We had to do some persuasion. I got to sneak around. I got to use words like larder. So I had a great time.
Yeah.
I really, anything, honestly, my only thing I wish I would have done, I think I came out of character a little bit when I suggested we go find these kids some groceries. I mean, that feels more like me, not Benson. Whereas I want to feed the kiddos, whereas Benson would probably be like, this doesn't concern us, kind of thing. But yeah.
There you are. Michael, what did you like about Laura's session this evening?
So as a player, I know that I am always one of these people that throws in massive curveballs. Everyone who's ever GM'd for me knows that I rarely look at my character sheet for skills and stats and abilities. I will just come up with the weirdest and wackiest things. One of the things that always impresses me is when a GM can not balk at some of the crap I do, like shaving dwarves and knocking people off roofs with sleep spells and stuff like that. And the thing that impressed me very heavily is the fact that there was definitely a pathway that we needed to follow for this adventure. But no matter what we threw, no matter what the players were presenting, it was creativity met with more creativity, which for me is the best kind of session. It's not quite the same as improv, where it's kind of like, give me an idea and I'll run with it. But it's simply taking that first step to listen and acknowledge your players and then say, what if we take that idea and run with it? And the fact that you can do that so naturally, I think is one of your greatest strengths, especially in a game like this.
Well said. Steve, what did you feel about playing Ishka with this crazy bunch of people?
It was interesting. Like, I am normally a GM, so I had a hard time just like kind of focusing on one character and like embracing the character. So I just had this idea of like, all right, I'm kind of a little bit of a bastard, but then partway through I felt bad for like being kind of mean to like Tajo and Bracklor and stuff. And it's like, but I still kind of want to run with it. But am I the rock with all these like crazy things that are happening, or I'm encouraging? It was like a lot of questions were running through my mind and trying to figure out, okay, how can I kind of focus in on something kind of like a basic thing that I can have my character do and interact with other people and not stall the story, but kind of help things go. So like shaving dwarf beards, it's like, that sounds great. Like, me personally, I think that's a really fun addition to the story. So I'm gonna roll with that. And even though I did a terrible job, I think I still had fun with it.
Yeah, I think we kind of got there. And that's the reason why I refused to play Ishka this session, is because I'm a GM as well. I'm like, I'm not going to play the same character every week. What's a silly nonsense idea like that? Who would want to do that sort of thing apart from every other player on the planet?
The thing that I would have liked was been to see your Ishka's reaction to the children, I think.
Oh, she probably would have just eaten it.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be that dark. I read some of the backstory. I don't know if I personally want to play a character this dark. Like, I had moments of just like, should I care? Like, about the dog eating thing. It's like, I don't know. I'm going to play my version of it. So.
No, it was absolutely brilliant. And you guys gave me a lot to bounce off and respond to. And yeah, I had a really good time. So thank you guys too.
There you go. And thank you guys for playing. I thank you, all my players, for volunteering to come and play this evening. And definitely thank you to Laura for running the game. We will see you, Laura, next week when you try and up your scores. I will send these scores through to you so that you can have a look at them and reflect upon those. And a big thanks and shout out to Lauren, who's in chat as moderator this evening. Thank you for looking after everybody. Thank you all for watching all the way through to the end. And I'm going to try and do this now because I failed last time. Does this work? I don't know. I don't know how to... I'm trying to raid people. Oh, there we go. Raiding is happening. Wow! You never look and learn. All right, so we're going to be raiding Dungeon Fog. They're doing some awesome map stuff on their Twitch channel, so have a look at that. And we will be back next week, Thursday, for more of Training Grounds. Just as an ad hoc announcement, tomorrow night I will be playing through the new release of Fabled Lands. Once again, it is now finally available on Steam. I'll be doing a little playthrough of that starting at about 4 p.m. UTC. So join me for 2 hours as we go through that tomorrow. And anyway, until next week, thanks all for watching. Goodbye.